Tuko na Gen Z, tuko na hapa na Gen Z.
Mwalimu wa Kiswahili pia. Hamjambo. My name is Lilian Lingai. At the United Green Movement Party, I serve as the Director of Social Justice and Equal Opportunity. So since I joined United Green Movement, I would say they have really focused on the youths, empowering the youths. Because as for me, I joined student leadership and I used to think, nikipewa certificate ya kuwa student leader, nitaenda kutafuta nayo kazi. Unaona, kama mwalimu hivyo. So I joined politics through the United Green Movement Party, and they have nurtured me and fellow youths. Like, we have been having political gigs. Since I joined, we had a political gig in Kisumu, Busia, Lamu, and we have been engaging the youths in growing their talents. We have been having the youths play football, they get the awards, and we try to motivate them. Also, we support the greenpreneurs, those people who do green jobs and who do their jobs that do not affect the environment, and they use nature and its resources to get income. So the other thing is, while we were having a gig in Lamu, we talked with the youths there. They told us their grievances and the reason as to why they are jobless. So they gave a couple of reasons as to why they are jobless, most of them, and how being jobless has affected them. So as the United Green Movement Party, we came with an idea of establishing what we call skills fund, so that their skills don't go waste, and so that they can earn a living as youths, because youths are the backbone of our society, right? Yeah, so as the Director of Social Justice, we've been working towards nurturing youths and empowering them, engaging people with disabilities in political activities, and also women and people from the marginalized community. So I would kindly ask you to join United Green Movement Party. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sasa nipatie nafasi nimulike mwenyekiti wangu wa chama, the co-chairperson of the UGM party, Busia Tesuri.
Hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Ningependa kurequest wale wanaangalia simu tuangalie Rose. Let's have a discussion. You know, speaking after party leader, amekuwa mwanasiasa miaka mingi kunishinda, inakuwa ngumu kidogo, lakini nitajaribu. So asante sana chama kwa kutukubalia tufanye mkutano pamoja na watu wako. Tumeshukuru sana. This is our first diaspora meeting and it's a pleasure. Yani, when we came in na kuna watu ambao walikuwa washafika, you were waiting for us, mmetukaribisha vizuri sana. Asanteni sana. Ya pili, kama vile party leader amewaambia, tuko hapa kwa sababu ya chama chetu cha United Green Movement Party. Mimi niko kati ya wale founding members na tulianzisha chama 2018 baada ya party leader alikuwa ODM, mimi nilikuwa URP hizo siku. Kwa wale ambao wanafuata siasa ya Kenya, I was a member of county assembly between 2013 and 2017. So just after the election ya 2017, tulifukuzwa kwa nomination, na I think for those who follow politics, mnajua Kenya siasa ni the highest bidder. Your certificate ya nomination they give to the highest bidder. So that is how we met with party leader, came together with a few people, tukasema tuanzishe chama ambayo italeta a difference to the society. I am sure nyinyi ambao mko upande hii, you can tell how much governance is not working in Kenya. Because when you come to such countries, you realize so many things are in place. And I can tell you without a doubt that it just didn't happen overnight. Systems like this depend on the political class. Whether we agree or not, lazima siasa ikue kwa laini, ndio maisha ikue kwa laini. So as we stand here today, mumesikia kuwa even if we were to change Ruto with Raila, we will still experience the same problems. How about bringing about a new crop of leadership? Yani, tutafute damu mpya tubadilishe, tuone kama itatusaidia. Na hatutaifanya na siku moja, na mtu mmoja hawezi fanya, lakini tukishikana pamoja, tutaifanya. In the next general election, I know, assuming everybody in this room has 10 relatives in Kenya. I am saying 10 because it is the minimum number. Assuming sisi wote leo tuambie wale watu ambao ni wa familia zetu, tubadilishe uongozi wa Kenya. This will be one step in the right direction. So tafadhali, let us, in our website, if you log in, utaona how to join the party. Please join this party. Mukisikia candidates ambao tutakuwa tumefield in the next general election from whatever county you come from. Kama ni MCA, kama ni member of parliament, please, you can tell your people to help us vote for them. Kama pia utakuwa in the country at that time, please vote for any candidate who will be filled by the United Green Movement Party. We shall try our best, but what I can tell you for sure is in the next election, hata kama tutakuwa na 10% of government, tutakuwa ndani. So asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki. Mimi sasa niko tayari kubunda.
Thank you very much. Looks like the Dunda spirit is going to come. I'll say two more things.
That's amazing.
Our political party manifesto is based on 5 things. The first one is on youth unemployment. So we think as Greens that Kenya is having a youth demographic deficit that we'd really like to harness. And so part of the things that we're pushing, which is the skills fund amongst others, is to ensure that the young people in Kenya get employability, which is about creating work, also making sure that we have policies that will make sure that the skills match with what is available for what the market demands is taken into consideration. That's part of the things that we advocate for. The second one is the issues of the economy. The Kenyan economy is suffering as a result of the public debt and budgeted corruption amongst many other things. So we really look forward to working with Kenyans in a way that we fix the economy. Those of you who read the Kenyan Constitution, public debt is the first charge in Kenya's consolidated fund. So if you do not manage the public debt in a proper way, it simply means that you do not have sufficient financial legroom to dance around for development work, and that is part of the problems that we have. And you notice that Kenyans' debt has been borrowed for the longest, and half of it you cannot account for it. Some of it has been used to build villas in the Cayman Islands and a few other places. So we really want to work with Kenyans in ensuring that the public debt is brought under control. The third issue is social justice and inequality. One of the greatest conversations that happened the last couple of weeks was when Ruto went to some part of Kenya and said that people of Somali descent should not have vetting for their national identity cards. Of course, that produced hue and cry amongst many Kenyans because they thought that Ruto's ploy to rig for IDs. But you must also understand that there are other Kenyans who live in border places. The Tesos, for example, in Western Kenya, the Kurias, the Taita Tavetas who live in Tanzania. So all those border communities are subjected to unnecessary vetting simply because they live in border positions. So of course Ruto in his usual recklessness made that statement, but the social justice and inequalities that the people have been subjected to, especially the women around the TESO, when you want an ID card, you've been told, assuming for example you married a woman from Uganda, or you have to go and get your father's ID or someone like that. So the inequalities that Kenyans have been subjected to for a long time, even though Ruto's statement was blown out of proportion because he made it in a reckless manner, I think many Kenyans suffer social justice and inequality, and for us as Greens, we really think that's a place that we really need to give consideration. The fourth place, which is the basis of a manifesto, is the issue of rule of law. I mean, Kenya is a country where nothing functions, nothing legal functions. From the border person who chooses to ride on the wrong side of the road, and in fact they knock you and then they fight you and then they burn your car. No one is following any law. I mean, so the rule of law principle in Kenya has broken. Constitutionalism is the constitution exists for I do not know who the constitution works, because even, I mean, my friend Waititu, having stolen so much millions, is now fallen sick, and having fallen sick, I'm sure is going to buy his way out, having stolen billions of shillings from the people of Kiambu. And one of the things people don't understand is that Waititu is not stealing for the Kikuyus, he's stealing for himself and his wife. Kwa sababu pesa ambayo aliiba si ilikuwa ni pesa ya watu wa Kiambu. It's not Kenya money. If it's Kenya money, unaweza kusema ya kwamba unaiba, unapeleka Kiambu. This is money for Kiambu people. He has stolen it, and his wife, So the rule of law principle in Kenya is broken. And of course, many governors have done that, from Busia to my county, Homa Bay. My governor is building a multi-million shilling project in Karen. So once you fix the rule of law issues in Kenya, issues of corruption, for example, then there would be things of the past. The environment, which is the last pillar. We're a green political party. We think if Kenya is 70% agricultural, if Kenya, people say that Kenya's GDP is 70% agricultural, then the environment must be everything. Look at those people who, if you've lived in Nairobi River, those of you know Nairobi River, flows into Athi River, and Athi River flows into Kambani. I can tell you, having worked at the Ministry of Environment for some time, the hard metals that is in Nairobi River that finds itself on vegetables, on the markets, the carcinogens. So you're treating cancer out of carcinogens. People don't understand the importance of the environment and protecting the environment in terms of how it ties onto health. And so when you guys are having this human rights conversation here, I was like, you understand the stratification of human rights, and I could get into that conversation in a proper, so you can imagine with the pollution of Nairobi River, I'm just giving you Nairobi River as an example. The same can be said of Eldoret, Kisat, where the sewerage system broke long time. Kisumu is terrible. And you can imagine that because you do not protect and enforce the environment, there's a correlation. Most people don't understand this. So you want healthcare budgets, but yet you'd have sorted it out from source, which was making sure that we have a clean and healthy environment, and Article 42. So this is what people don't understand, that you're fixing the symptoms as opposed to the cause. So as Greens, we really think that we want to work with Kenyans in a way that we ensure that that some of these fundamentals then are taken care of. So those are five issues on our pillar, and of course you can get in this conversation, and also you can see our leadership is very young. At least they're not hawajazeka sana. Sasa huyu ni mwenyekiti wa chama. Huyu ni mwenyekiti wa chama, amekuwa MC. This one at our age is because that's the future of the country. And Herbert, I'm sure we didn't disappoint you, no? Did we disappoint you?
We were actually.
We looked like we know what you're talking about, isn't it? Yes. Because we're not blowing on trumpets, but I'm Luo, so sometimes I can talk about things. Kenya is possible to fix if you come together as a people, because you Kenyans out here know many things. In fact, the reason why most Kenyans are running away from home is because it's not functioning. It's not functioning. You don't want to waste your time to soil your hands. As we've agreed, we want to go soil our hands. We know how to deal with this wakora. We know how to deal with them. Please, whoever is the next year, now I want to do my call. That altar call. Simulienda mnaenda kanisa. Huwa kuna kitu inaitwa altar call. kama umesikia ubiri, tumesoma kurasa, tumesoma kitu, sasa kuja hapa mbele tukombe. Those of you are next, please follow us at UGM Party. My role is, if you're next at UGM Party, just follow us, and I think we're also the same on Instagram and Facebook, so at least we can constantly engage, constantly. That is my number one ask. That's the bare minimum, that please follow us on next. But number two, hatujafika huko, lakini unajua LinkedIn hiyo ni our professors na wale wanaandika maneno makubwa. But I'll tell the comms team that they need to be on LinkedIn. But I think we're on all other social media handles. That's my number one. Number two, like Cielo said, please put in the good word. Just tell Kenyans that all is not lost. We're so sure that in the next 910 days, there will be a few faces of the United Government Party in the National Assembly, in the Senate, in the various county assemblies, and we were sure that we're going to take Kenya forward. Number three, please give us ideas, suggestions in terms of what you think can be used to improve our manifesto. We've already highlighted what we want to do. You're so you've lived here, you've seen what is functioning. Give us a few more ideas in terms of how we make Kenya. The process of nation building is not easy. It's collective. It's a team effort. So we're here to ask some of you to whoever is interested to be a member of our team in a way that constructs the country. Number four, those of you who want to run for office. Nimeona wanasiasa hapa kidogo wakati nilikuwa nafanya utafiti. There are a few of you who are politicians. Please, karibu nyumbani. I am going to make sure that you have space with my colleagues to make sure that you run. The United Government Party has co-leadership. So she's a co-chairperson, she has we believe in equality. That's the point that I wanted to stress. We believe in 50-50, as we are not 1/3 or whatever. That's why you see we're here with these young girls are not young, they're not vice chairpersons. It's co-leadership. So we have a co-chairperson who's a man, we have a co-chairperson who's a lady, I have a co-party leader who is a female. So we have a co-leadership. So we believe in 50-50 of leadership. Not 1/3, it's 50-50. So I think that's one of the things also that we've done very well for us in a way that helps us. Na kwa hayo mingi sana nilikuwa nimekubaliana ya kwamba jadiliana mpaka saa 1. Sasa kama kuna mtu ambaye kuna swali, najua kuna dakika 24 kabla ya saa 1, ili mtu atuulize maswali, tujaribu kuyajibu, alafu saa 1 kamili tunaanza kudunda. Sisi we are a fun loving party. We are the only political party that believes in having fun. That is why she says we go to the cities and people we just play music and by the way that's why we just wanted to host you. Tukuja tutukule, tuonge, mrudi manyumbani, siku nyingine tukirudi tunakula tu. We just come and eat. Life is short. Don't make it too complicated. We just come and eat and move on. If politics is very stressful, so the only way we can get stress out of our politics is having fun. Tunakuja tunakula, tunafanya urafiki and things like that. Anyone else asking questions, or my colleagues? Herbert, your hand is up, but I will take the question with 4 of us. Kevin, Lillian, and Cielo, and myself will be able to answer. So we'll go first with Herbert, and then sorry I didn't get your name, sir. Francis. Okay, but how about you go first?
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair. My question goes towards the land issue. Land issue has been a very thorny issue in Kenya for quite a lot of time. And the successive governments that we've had have always been promising to do something about it. And none of them have been able to actually get to do something about it. And of course, it's not like we don't know much about it, the Ndugu report. But I think the Ndugu report is also very problematic. So, the position of but how would you, if you were to get power in Kenya, how would you handle the land matter? Again, it's a very difficult one because my father was in Harambee Sacco. I think Harambee Sacco bought one of these Kenyatta lands, a very big one. Kenyatta University towards Jaikwat and all that area. So my mother disposed of that land. But you see, we know when we didn't know that it was stolen land. But I'm just saying, my mother received this piece of land from my father who got it legitimately because she belonged to us. You know how these things work. So as a party, there are people who have got stolen land. We know it's stolen land. But again, there are people who have now come to acquire this land through legitimate means. So if the party was to have power, again, it's very complicated. And the people who have been ruling Kenya, I think one way or another they are involved. And in my view, of course, I suspect that's maybe one of the reasons why they cannot deal with it, because they're part of that problem.
Kenyatta couldn't deal with it because a lot of it belongs to the family. So tell me, how would you handle this matter? It's complicated and very difficult to handle, so how would you handle it? Or how would the party go about handling the land matter?
Thank you very much. Francis?
Oh, thank you so much. I have roughly 2 questions. Right now in Kenya there is some void, there is some gap in let's say the direction of politics as I can fetch it. There are a lot of young people who want something to identify with that is not what people used to, that is not current. People are trying to say we should come up with a new idea, with a new Kenya where there is no tribe, there is no the old guard in politics. And this United Green Movement fits in so well when you look at it from some distance. Then when we come close, then you hear, oh, it's Agostino Neto, and he's been here for 10 years, maybe a member of parliament. And you know it could bring that hint that it's the same people that are being recycled. So I would suggest you do some blood transfusion, remove the old one and bring the new one, and that's what actually you are doing, and I'll commend it and take it to that direction that it is issue-based, and meeting us here and sharing it with the people outside or back at home makes it appear issue-based. So how will you tap into this young generation at home who are clamoring for something new? They don't want to be associated with the old politicians, the big groups, the big names, but they want something, but they lack someone to give them direction forward, because it's a big field that is not yet tapped. If you tell them Ruto, if you tell them Raila, if you tell them Rigiji, it's the same people. So there is a chance for you there. And maybe that's my recommendation and also a question to tell us, because we want to get into this with a purpose, with a clear mind that this is the next, when we get into this, this is the next roadmap. This is how we are going to overcome the few obstacles that we have. Thank you, Agustin, and your team. Oh, by the way, I spent a lot of time in Narok. I tried the land issue. I have a piece of land there. I know I want to be chased with a room when I go back. Narok people are welcoming and friendly people because I stayed there over 10 years. So thank you so much.
So let's sound a third question so that I get to make, yes?
Yes, I have a question. My name is Emmanuel,
Yeah.
and my issue is about the CBC education system. Currently, I think you talked about social inequality, because you see kids in Nairobi and maybe kids maybe where you are as an MP, don't get the same treatment. Like, okay, they're told to do this because the syllabus requires that to be done, but they don't have, the parents don't have the ability to do it. So what's the way forward? Is it to be scrapped or is it to be refined? So maybe if you can clarify on that. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Herbert is not there and he's the land person, but I will deal with this land question when he gets there. So Francis, we are...
Before you continue, I think I would also wish to put my yesterday's question perhaps officially before everybody here. We are talking about sustainability of people to live as a society, and I look at it from the perspective of respecting remuneration towards everybody's effort in doing a job. And what I'm talking about here is, in my opinion, there is a total misconstruation of this. There is no identity towards there's no identity of respect of what work is. I think Kenyans have just lost it. They don't know the meaning of work. And people work in order to get something to eat and to live on. And the definition of work has been totally distorted to a point like one person has a right to sit and talk and get $1 million. One person has a right to work and labor and bust off his hands to get 2 shillings. It doesn't make sense. And one person has to really think and see how am I going to make people live in a beautiful place. And this person who builds the beautiful place has nowhere to put he has no roof over his head. There's no logic in all this. So you as a party, what are you going to do such that in the future there is respect to every job that somebody does, to a point they see, okay, who does not work should not eat, and therefore I should work and get it. And in my opinion, let me just put a light that, is there possible of getting a minimum wage of say 50, 70,000 without devaluing the currency value of Kenya? It's possible. What can you think about it?
Okay, thank you very much. Any of the team members want to take one of the questions or so? Kevin, Sian, or Lillian, you want to take something? Just
Yeah.
Come and take a question, and then I'll be happy to deal with the balance.
Thank you, co-party leader. Thank you, Kenyans in Sweden, for this forum. Okay. So, Francis, you asked about we have names that have been in politics before. Yeah, we have the party leader who has also served as a member of parliament for 2 terms, etc. He is our co-party leader. We are Green. You know, as a Green, we try to revitalize politics in Kenya, and we're trying to figure out how to take politics beyond the basics, which is a tribe, among other things. And so you feel that having such names will differentiate people who might want to join this movement so that we can take the country forward. We must also agree that, yes, it is possible that there are people who have been in the game before, but they were not necessarily rotten tomatoes. So we have to actually judge people on the basis of their works. This is very important so that we can be fair to everyone, rather than trying to have this blanket condemnation about people who have served in government. You see, when we begin to have that, then it becomes vindictive, and then we cannot build the nation as a people. Let's have a vision whereby we see this country as our own. Let's be patriotic. Let's judge people based on their deeds. Neto Agustino, we know what he did as a member of parliament, and those who come from his constituency know that he's a workaholic, and if not for clan politics, he will actually be in parliament now, despite his party and against Raila Odinga in 2012 and 22. He garnered 20,000 votes in his constituency against the leader who got 35,000, and there was someone who split votes with him who also got almost 20,000, making it likely that if there are no such clan politics involved, it was only issue-based, then he will be serving parliament, serving his people in parliament now. And why is that so? Despite coming from a very hostile place, whereby if you oppose Raila Odinga, it is like a death sentence politically. So these are some of the issues we have to look at, and we have to say this with an open heart.
Right? We have, for example, Lewa, we have on the Pejeta, and then we have come to see, even I think most of us when we go back home, we go on these safaris, and I remember our late President Kibaki, he opened up for every Kenyan that we are able to tour our own country and enjoy. That's which I really love that we can go. But when you hear the stories of the people who are living there, that this conservancy or whatever it's done, it's private owned. And it is actually making, if not billions, maybe trillions. And even they cannot graze their own animals. They are not for the safety of the animals, because we have people coming from South Africa who are powerful billionaires, who imagine that they bring their own cows or cattle to graze on our land, and the people who own these lands can no longer do that. And I believe even before they were maybe made conservancy, we know from wherever we come, our people from the ancient place, to say, for example, we take the Maasai and the others, they have known and they have their indigenous way how to live with nature and co-inhabit, or whatever we call that word. Yeah? But now they're being restricted. Sometimes they are being killed, accused. They're even saying the names of the people running this, so it is something documented, and they're being threatened. And we know this one life is a heritage. It's our land and all that. What are you going to do about? And we know these are tycoons. They are not just something like we said they protect, but these are people with money, with power. We know these are family. It's a generation. It has become like a generational wealth for these people who are from even outside Kenya. I'm not saying they're Kenyans, because as we said, it's not about tribe or color, whatever skin you are. But we see it is not only one place. Lewa is the same stories we hear. Has this reached to your party?
Okay.
Has it?
Yeah.
And if it has, what are you planning to do about it?
Okay. So I'll take those two questions, then at least from there we can then have this informal chit chat, so that it's not too, it's not our last trip here. We're going to have another trip in whatever you want, Mr. Chairman. You and Harriet is going to. So there are 4 political green parties in Kenya right now. Anita, Mazingira Green Party, the Green Congress of Kenya, and the Green GTAP, Green Thinking Action Party, and the United Green Movement Party. Okay, so all 4 are green political parties espousing green ideology. And so Wangari Maathai's Mazingira Green Party has been there for like the longest. But of course, again, over the past few years, when Wangari Maathai passed on, succession and the growth of the party then was a challenge. But we are Greens and we work together in terms of the green ideology, because what interests them is what interests us. And we hope, and one of the things we're working, again, just like Therese said, is we're trying to make sure that we consolidate as many green parties as we can to move together in terms of ecocentrism. And we do work not just in Kenya with green political parties. We have a sister party in Sweden, we have a sister party in Rwanda, in Africa, and the Congo, Madagascar. And for like right now we're in Europe, the Green Party in Sweden has been very kind to host us, and the Green Party in the Netherlands is hosting us. That's what we do in terms of across. It's the green ideology. We're like brothers. We're a fellowship. We're a fellowship of Greens. So I hope that answers your question. The question about conservancies in Kenya is a grand violation of the rights of the people of Kenya, the local indigenous communities, and it's a land question, which is what Herbert raised. The unfortunate thing is that Muzungu families and heavy tycoons have taken huge parts of land, and how they came across that land, of course, no one knows. Some of it was grabbed just before independence. The same way the Kenyatta families, the Moi families came up with the land. The Mizungus, the Del Monte. I mean, so that is why. One of the things that we must do in Kenya, whichever president gets in, when the UGM takes over power, the TJRC, because the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Committee report, which I have had a chance to read, documents everything, documents all the violations that have happened in Kenya. For every tribe that, for example, needs reparations, who was killed, who was unfairly treated. There is a report in terms of who needs to be given reparations. The people who took land, it's documented in terms of who stole how much land and where. So it's very possible that we make sure that community lands, because some of that is community land. So Kenya has 3 sorts of tenure issues in terms of land. You have public, you have private, and you have community land. Some of the conservancies are in community land, an entire community, because that is how they used to graze. That was their path for their cattle. It was not supposed to be owned by one person. It's supposed to be for the community, and that is what the propriety right is. So for Mzungu or for Neto to tell you that he owns this conservancy in kilometer miangapi, they travel there on a helicopter. It's completely unfair. It goes against the construct of the Kenyan nation. So that must be sorted out, and that is why, that's why I want to stop. For us to sort out the Kenyan governance issue, we must perpetuate a critical juncture for constructive destruction of the governance system as it is right now. I'll break that down. We must ensure that we push something, almost like what the Gen Zs were trying, to make sure that the next set of people are a group of people who have nothing to do with the past, because that's the only way to sort out the present. You know, if you let Jimmy Wanjigi or Kalonzo Musyoka or Raila Amolo to be the next president, you can't. It will be the same old. It will be the same old. We must get a young person or a fresh person, if it's not young, 50, 60, 70, fresh, not from this past, who then helps us champion. And we'd have tried it. The Constitution of Kenya in 2010 would have been a very good chance to start. But of course, then we left it to the hands of other people. So we think, ladies and gentlemen, that there's hope in the United Green Movement Party. So all is not lost. We have started, and thank you so much for your kind words. I'll give you my green jersey. At least you can then move around. I'll give you a green jersey. Ntavua jacket. At least it's very kind. As Greens, we are very kind people. We always want to. That's why we came. We said, look, we can't come to Sweden, just hover around Malinga. Herbert will say that we spoke good English. No, we also want to buy you nyama choma. Just treat you, But we want to treat you and buy nyama choma. The next time we come back, we just want to make sure that we're family. As Greens, we believe in brotherhood, we believe in family. We just want to make sure that when we come here, one day we don't have to stay in a hotel. You can host us in your house and tell us, look, we're coming. We will have small money, but we want to just be their brothers and sisters. Mkona mali ya kuweka mattress moja hapo ya kulala. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that when we come here as Greens, that we know we are coming to visit our family in Kenya. When you come to Nairobi, you can always call, and anything you want in Nairobi will be done because you are a Green. There will be chai, there will be a car, there will be taxi at the airport, there will be kudunda, this kind of thing. So that's what we want us to do. We're inviting you to belong to the family of Greens. We want you to come and that.
You see it happening. Hiyo ni mambo ya Gen Z. Watoto hiyo hizi movement watu walikufa wengi sana, even though they didn't have a leader, somebody was making that happen, right? It's only there was not a physical person that we could point to tuseme ni ule lakini kulikuwa na kiongozi. Ni venye tu hatujui ni nani. It may seem formless, but there is no such thing as formless if actually people went out and agree, hii siku tunapatana na tunatokea. It happened. If the Green Movement would make that happen, convince people enough that you are the change we are looking for, then my friends, that it's a win. It was interesting you talking about the conservancies, because if you think about it, that I always had my doubts, is it really a conservancy or is it something else being conserved inside the conservancy? Is it really about the animals? Kenya is known not to have minerals, is right? You talked about tea, you talked about coffee, and tourism, but we have so much more, but you'll never hear about it.
We disagree with the network on matters Raila Odinga, but we agree on, in principles, what we want to do as a people, what do we achieve. And I think when you look at the track record of someone who had very minimal time, remember when Neto get to parliament, some of you may remember, some may not, he was the youngest person to be elected as a member of parliament in the, what we call Lone Nyanza. So go and look at that. He didn't have that experience in terms of having been in position, but he had that vision. Why did he get that position? Perhaps because the people saw what he had. And after that, he delivered. And that's why he was able to serve, even when he was not aligned to the party leader. And these are some of the issues that, and I think when we begin to have these issue-based politics, what we're actually discussing now, whereby we come in as the United Green Movement, then we can deconstruct these issues that we've had before and try to lean towards these things that make sense, so that it can be something that is fruitful to the populace, the people who are the electorate, so that it does not harm the body politics. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Just want to say something else?
Thank you very much, Party Leader. I'd like to comment on the issue of new blood. We are seated almost 15 people in this room, and if I was to ask Jen today, Jen, would you run for president in Kenya? The reason why Agostino Neto, for example, is here trying to bring new ideas is because most people in Kenya, by the way, are not ready to lead a revolution. You cannot just come out from nowhere today and lead a revolution. You cannot. Why? Kenyan politics is, I think, one of the most difficult fields to get into. And if we were to say we want new blood everywhere, trust me, it would be very difficult for you to even join that revolution, because everybody wants something they can relate to. Number two, Agostino Neto was an MP for 2 terms. And when we came in, everybody, when he was saying he's called Neto, most of us did not actually know him. Am I speaking the truth? Why? Because when he was MP, he did not do anything bad that got into the citizen wrong. If Oscar Sudi was to walk in today here, trust me, even if you've not been in Kenya for 15 years, akisema anaitwa Sudi, first thing, I am sure there is something you will pick, even if it is from the internet. So if we were to say Agostino Neto, for example, is bad today, let us be objective, for example, and say, Agostino Neto, when you're MP for the 10 years you were, you did this and this, which we do not agree, please change the blood now. Sasa badilisha damu, ukue mtu mpya, ndio to support the idea ambayo uko nayo. So let us be very careful with who we want to associate with, and let's also be objective. If we are talking about United Green Movement, we have said these are the ideologies we have, this is our manifesto. I am asking you, please support us based on the ideology. We might not like each other, by the way, here. Even Kina James Orengo, they normally say they don't actually like Raila, but the fact that you really have to like Raila to win elections in Luo Nyanza, that is why they follow Raila everywhere and they sing Raila. Because they have a common interest. So for us here, if our common interest is the ideology of this party, let us support the party. Lakini ikifika ile saa ya dunda, wenye hatupendani, tunaweza enda nyumbani. Lakini tukirudi kwa chama sasa ile tunasema let us protect the environment, to protect environment. Tukisema we are fighting for social justice, we meet there, tunapigania haki, tunaenda nyumbani. So let us not be very critical on politicians past. As long as hakuna kitu mbaya walifanya. I'm not saying I have heard you have land in Narok. Maybe the next time you're coming to Narok, I will be running for women rep. And maybe people will be saying, by the way, I'm not a good person, because I'm not saying I'm a good person. But for you, Francis, because we've met in Sweden, si hauna kitu mbaya against me, you will tell people, please let's vote for her. Si mtu mbaya. So that's true. So let us support each other on ideology. Let us sell the party manifesto. Na tutajaribu kubadilisha damu kama kuna mahali tumekosea in the past. Because in Kenya, by the way, if you are a politician, I'm sure tulikuwa tunapenda Ruto wengi. But when he got into office, by the time alichagua cabinet, tukatoka already tukaanza kusema Ruto ni mtu mbaya. Because the people he brought on board kwa hii cabinet yake is not what we had expected. So saa zingine, by the way, when you become a politician, ni rahisi sana kuchafuliwa jina, even when you have not done anything. So let us, because Neto amejitoa ku lead a revolution that is going to change Kenya. Change Kenya based on governance, based on development that we want. Please tumshikilie mkono na tusonge mbele.
Okay, thanks. A couple of things. You've said 4 things. I mean, I'm really keen about dancing. It's the whole reason why we're here. So I'll be brief. I think the last Gen Z revolution in Kenya would have seen light of day if it had leadership. If the Gen Z revolution in Nairobi had leadership, they would have gone far, because then it would have been possible. Power abhors vacuum, and you cannot contest political power with a formless nature of contestation. The only arena that you engage in is, it must be political. Fire sharpens, fire just meets with fire. So for you to outdo the current political construct in Kenya, you must be in a political party, you must be in a political formation. There's no two way about it. By the way, you know, whenever you're discussing governance, governance is not utopian. Governance does not exist it's not in a mist. Countries are run on the basis of political parties. So you cannot argue that you want to be partyless, you want to be formless. I mean, it is good. You cannot be, I mean, so if you're leaderless and you're partyless, and I think they learned. That is why the Kenyan Gen Z movement has moved to Gen Zote. They've agreed that it is possible to have some old blood mixed with the new blood, so long as it's the basis of character and values. So values and aspirations and character, then we're moving together, because you need a bit of old folk to tell you there's nothing new under the sun. Those of you who read Ecclesiastes. So you cannot come here and start telling us, sisi, you're 19-year-old, at sasa sisi hatuelewi, hatuendi unaelewa, unaelewa nini? You know, ati kwa sababu mko na AI. No. We can make together so that, I mean, when Lillian and myself sit together, when I tell about the 1990, that in 1990, we were fighting for multi-party democracy. Of course, she was not born in 1990. She looks at me like, what was the fight about? We didn't have TikTok.
We didn't have social media.
We didn't have social media. She'll tell you. TV was shut, but we were still moving handbills.
And we didn't have internet.
And we didn't have internet.
Yeah.
So, but we still.
We had KBC only.
Only, yeah. But we still moving.